So, hi guys. Okay, so this is now my second video.
I'm back.
Yeah, this stupid bitch.
Always gotta be mean.
Okay, so in this video, we're actually going to talk about like sort of like conspiracy theory things or things we believe in and don't believe in. So, I think this is going to be pretty interesting. So, first off, like, let's pick like a simple one first off.
Ghosts?
Yeah, ghost. Okay, so, ghost. There's a lot of people that believe in them, a lot of people that don't. My take is, ever since I was a little kid, I've believed in ghosts. What about you? Same? Yeah, like, I don't know.
I always got scared of, like, I was gonna, like, get attacked by one, so, because, okay, so in my grandma's, not my grandma that I live with, my other grandma, in her house, when you're laying in her living room, she has this, like, skull, clock in the other room, and it lights up, and so, like, right next to that clock, I'd always hear, like, beating near it, and then you'd see, like, a dark, shadowy figure walk right past it, and out the door.
That's scary.
And every time the clock would go off, you'd hear, like, running down the stairs.
Ooh, that's really creepy. Yeah, should I tell them about my old house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, not the place that we're in right now, because this is my house. We're at my house right now, but not this place, but my house before this. I just moved out of it last year, actually. Sorry for my yawning, it's like 1 in the morning.
It's 2:22 in the morning.
Whoops.
It's like 1 in the morning. It's like 2 in the morning.
Shut up. So, in my old house, like, I mean, I moved in there when, I don't know how old I was, but I just know I was really little.
And I was creeped out by the house every time I came over.
Yeah, she was afraid of it. Everyone was. But, so I never really thought much of anything that happened there when I was young, because, you know, I was young, like, I didn't know that much about, like, paranormal stuff. So, then, like, you know, I started getting older and stuff. Shit. And I realized, like, you know, a lot of just weird, out of the ordinary things happened there. And I don't know, like, it's stuff I can't even necessarily explain, because, you know, I would hear voices, I would hear footsteps, I would hear, knocking, banging on
like
stuff.
When you were going in your room.
Yes, actually happened twice, with me and my brother, because a few years back, my mom was at work and me and my dad, like, went somewhere. I think we went to go get food or something, but anyway, my brother Kyle was home alone, and he's older than me, so he was, like, you know, he's, like, a few years older than me, and so he was home alone, and I want to say he was maybe around 16 when this happened or so, somewhere around there, and,
So about 3 years ago.
yeah, maybe more than that, I don't know, but anyway, I know he was a teenager, but, so, we had a garage, and we pulled into the garage, me and my dad, and then we had, like, the door that led out to the garage and, like, back into the house. So, we walked in through our garage door, and we walk in the house, and first thing, I open the door in front of my dad, and the first thing that happens when I open the door, my brother comes sprinting towards the door, and he, like, grabs my shoulders like this, okay? And I'm like, whoa, you know, what's wrong? And he's, like, shaking, and he's like, you won't believe what just happened. And I'm like, okay, like, what happened? And he said that while we were gone, he thought, he was, like, looking for something and of his, and he's like, well, maybe it's in Lindsay's room. So he goes in my room, and he, like, opens my door, and like, our hallway, like, it was Kyle's room, my parents' room, and then my room was at the very end of the hallway. So he walks down the hallway, and he walks into my room, and he, like, opens my door, and he, like, walks, like, in my doorway. So he's, like, standing in my doorway, and, like, all the lights are off except for the light coming out of his bedroom door. And so, and he's completely home alone, and, like, we had, my dog at the time, we still have her, but she was the only animal we had back then, And she was, you know, in my parents' room sleeping, like, you know, she wasn't making any noise. And so he said he walked in my doorway, and he said, like, right here, like, behind his ear, he heard someone, like, whisper Kyle. But it wasn't, like, a normal whisper. It was, like, an aggressive, like, angry whisper. And so he said he slammed my door, and he fucking sprinted out of there because, like, he was so scared. And he told me, and, like, the whole time he was, like, explaining this to me, like, he was, like, shaking. Okay, and my brother doesn't really cry, and he, like, had tears in his eyes. So I was like, okay. And then, like, I told my dad, I'm like, I don't want to sleep in my room tonight. He's like, you'll be fine. I'm like, okay. And then, like, you know, I mean, even my mom, like, she told me that there was, like, stuff she would, like, hear and see. And, like, for a little bit, my grandma lived with us, and we had a basement, and there was, like, a little, like, area, and she had, like, her own little room there and stuff, and her bed was, like, pushed up against the concrete wall in our basement, and she said it was, like, 2-something in the morning, and so, like, everyone was asleep, no one was awake, and she said she was just, you know, laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and she said on the concrete wall behind her bed, she heard, like, 3 knocks in a row on the concrete, and I was like, wow, and it's kind of a coincidence because in my room once, I had a computer desk, and I used to have a computer on it, but I got rid of the computer because it was crap. So I just still had the desk in my room to just, like, put stuff on, whatever. And it was around 2 or 3 in the morning, same time, and I'm laying there trying to fall asleep, and I hear 3 knocks on my desk, and I'm like, nope. So, like, you know, just a lot of, like, weird, you know,
ordinary things
yeah.
happened at that house.
Like, even Shelby, like, one time she was staying the night, and we'd made a huge fort in my living room, okay, and we slept in it that night, and same time, around, like, 2 or 3 in the morning, things always happened at, like, 2 or 3 in the morning. We were laying there, and we had, like, mattresses under there, so, like, we didn't have to lay on, like, the hard floor, and, I was just laying there, you know, and I was, like, still awake, but I was, like, ready to fall asleep, and she, like, sits up really fast, and I'm like, are you okay? And I don't know if she remembers this, but I remember it very clearly, but she sits up, like, really fast, and I sit up, and I look at her, and I'm like, are you okay? And she's just, like, staring out, like, where the opening was, between the 2 blankets we had hanging up, and she's just staring, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you looking at? And she's like, I saw someone. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean you saw someone? And she's like, because where she was looking, she could, like, see, like, into the back of my kitchen and, like, some of my living room. And she said she just saw, like just a black, like, shadow, like, walking. And I was like, what? And I don't know if you remember that, but it scared me because
It's probably when we were in, like, 6th grade. I don't remember anything from that year except all the horrible things that happened.
yeah, and, like, I don't know, because, it scared me, like, to death, and I acted like it didn't bother me, because I didn't want to scare you even more, because you were like, I'm like, oh my fucking god, and so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what do you mean you saw someone? You're like, right there, and I was like, oh, there's no one there, you're probably just tired, go to sleep, but I'm sitting there like, so I'm, like, freaked out, and I just kind of ignored it, and I tried to fall asleep, but it was just creepy.
I remember the fort, but I don't remember saying that.
I swear you said that, but
Because I found pictures of the fort.
yeah, on my mom's Facebook, but it was just,
This leg's going numb.
it was just so creepy, and, like, you know, a bunch of other stuff happened there too, that, like, I can't even explain, and, like, when I was in 6th grade, I still lived at that house, and,
Are you bringing up the girl that your mom saw go downstairs?
I will, but,
I'm gonna... Real quick.
but, so, like, in 6th grade, like, Shelby, like, knows, like, a lot of bad things happened in 6th grade, well, with both of us, and, like, it was just weird. Like, I wasn't myself when I lived at that house, especially in 6th grade. Like, I just had a lot of, like, stuff going on. Just a lot of, like, problems. And, like, shut up. I sung that a lot. I was just, like, you can ask Shelby, I was just, like, not
there.
I wasn't here. Like, I was, like, somewhere else. Every time she came over, like, I didn't even try to, but I know I scared the hell out of her. And, like, I didn't try to. I was just creepy. I did these things, and, like, it wasn't me. It was, like, something else in me. Like, that probably sounds stupid, but, like, it's real, guys. I mean, of course, you can have your own opinion, but, like, I don't know. This is what I think.
What your grandma said?
My
Your
grandma.
great-grandma or whoever?
My aunt, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, I have this aunt, okay, and she's, like, really religious
We
and
have
stuff.
like 8 minutes left.
Oh, no! And, like, really Christian, and, like, we can do this in 2-part, though.
Yeah.
We'll probably do this in 2-part. But, or however many parts it
Yeah,
takes.
it might be 5, but it's okay.
Whatever. This is, like, a talkative topic, though.
Yeah. Story time.
Yeah. It kind of is story time mixed with conspiracy theories. But, so anyway, my aunt is, like, really Christian, and, like, they live, like, in this state, but
Wait, which one is it?
What?
Which aunt is it?
My Aunt Nancy. You don't know her.
Oh.
You've
I
never...
thought it was Juice for some reason.
No, you've never met her. But, you said I thought it was Juice for some reason. Okay, sorry.
I don't know, I just figured it'd be her.
Yeah, because I talk about her a lot. But anyway, so she's, like, really, you know, religious and stuff, and, so one day we were, like, down visiting her, and I like, was doing something, I don't know, and my mom was talking to her, and, like, my mom did not tell my aunt, like, anything that was, like, going on with me, like, she didn't, like, my aunt had no clue that I was, like...
Most of the family didn't.
Yeah, most of my family didn't know, like, that I was going through a lot of bad things, because, like, you know, my mom didn't want to tell people that, like, that's personal.
That's not things you just go around and be like, oh yeah, this and this is happening.
And I mean, yeah, it's my family, but, like, you know, it's not, you know. And so she had no idea. And so one day, my aunt was like, is Lindsay okay? And my mom's like, yeah, why? And my aunt says, she's like, well, I know she's not okay. And my mom's like, you know, like, what are you talking about? And she's just kind of like, ugh. And so my aunt's like, I hate to tell you this, but she's like, your daughter's possessed. And my mom's like, what? And, you know, she's, like, really confused. She's like, what are you talking about? And, my aunt was like, yeah, she's like, you need to do something. Like, there is something not good trying to get inside of her, or is already inside of her. And I'm just like, whoa. And the thing is, like, my mom did not tell me that until, like, a few months ago, after we moved in here, because she never told me that at my old house, because she didn't want to freak me the hell out. And so she told me that after we got away from that bad, negative stuff. And, like, you know, like, my parents, like, ever since we moved in here, my parents have not fought, like, once. But when we lived there, my parents would fight, like, a lot. Okay.
Cat and dog.
Yeah. And, like, you know, everyone was always, like, in a bad mood or angry at someone for, like, no reason at all, really. And, like, it was just a ton of, like, just bad energy and bad vibes. And, like, it was, and the thing is, though, that house was, like, brand new. We were the first people to live there. And so, I mean, my theory is that it wasn't the house itself, it was, like, the grounds that it was built on, because right next door to it, on the left side, there was another house, and it was really old and had been there for a long time. And, like, I had 2 of my best friends live there at some point, and, like, they didn't even talk to each other, like, they knew of each other, but, like, they never talked to each other about, like, you know, living there. And, like, they would both tell me about it when they lived there, and they were like, you know, it's creepy. Like, I don't like living there. There's just something off about it. And so, like, I don't know, I just think that it was where it was
Especially
built.
the bad thing about, like, the broken glass next door.
Yeah, in the house I was just talking about. I remember one night I was walking around outside with my brother and his best friend, because his best friend was staying the night. And we, like, I don't know, I just felt, like, drawn to that house. I don't know, like, just something made me walk over there. And so I was standing in the road in front of the house, and I was just looking up at it, and at the one of the top windows on the left side, there are like the two like windows side by side, and the one like farthest to this side, farthest to the left, the glass was like broken out of it, and no one had lived there at this point. It was condemned at this point when I saw this, so no one could live there anyway. And you know, you can't get in. Like, there was a front door and a back door. They were both locked. The windows were locked. Like, you know, no one could get in. And you know, you could say like someone threw something in it and broke the window, but it was pretty high up. Like, you'd have to have really good aim to throw something up there. And like, it was just weird. Because, like, I had never seen it like that, but then that one night I looked and it was broken, and I'm like, what? And I went outside the next day and it was still broken, and I'm like, wow, I wasn't seeing things. Like, it really is broken. And, like, I don't know, it was just weird. And did I ever tell you about, the house on the right of the one I lived in that looked like mine? Before it was built, because it got built, like, after we moved in. And so, like, when I moved in there... I
think so.
Yeah, when I moved in there, it wasn't there yet. It was just, like, all that dirt and stuff. I, like, walked over there one time with, Kyle and then my two other friends, Ethan and Hunter, you know. We walked over there, and we were just walking around, you know, just outside during the day, whatever. We were young kids playing outside. We walked over there, and, you know, I was just, like, kicking my shoe around in the dirt, and... I find like this like little tiny shoe, like this big, like a little kid's shoe, and it was all black, and it looked like a shoe that like a little boy would wear, like back in like the olden days. You know what I'm like talking about, like the type of shoe I'm talking about, the kind of like dress shoe looking, like
kind of like my marching shoes.
Yes, but it was like super. Yeah, that's what it looked like. But, like, a little different, of course, and I was just like, what? And I only found that one shoe. And then I found a little kid's toy, too. I don't remember what it was, but I found a toy. Like, buried in the dirt, not that far away from the shoe. Yeah, and I was like, that's weird. And I even called Kyle over. I'm like, look at this. Like, what is that? And he's like, I don't know. And it was weird. So.
Time.
Yeah, time. We have a few seconds left.
It's flashing.
That's okay. It flashed the whole time.
No, it didn't. Not the little button on the side. It's the time thing on right there where my finger.
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It was flashing a few seconds ago.
I know.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we're going to stop this here because it's about to end. So, we'll make a part 2. Goodbye.